Welcome to Real Life with Jenny. My name's Jenny Senaparatna. Grab your favorite drink, get yourself a snack, and we will get started. Today I have Earl Grey with lemon because that is what I craved the entire time I was on my last trip, and sunflower seeds because salty, salty, salty. So let's get real. I want to take you on a little journey with me to Morocco. So my husband and I just did a trip to Spain. It was amazing and it was the time of my life. But there was 48 hours in there I want to talk about on this podcast, and guess what? It's probably going to have two parts, but that's okay. You're along for the ride. So let's get going. The Monday before we left for our trip, we left on a Wednesday. My husband hurt his back. And I thought we may have to cancel this trip. He hurt it pretty bad. It was barely moving. I was like, this is not going to work. We have every single day in Spain, we moved. We moved hotels and we needed to keep moving. It was just the way we had set things up. We had so many places to get to and so many things to do that it was movement, 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 movement. And so about halfway through our trip, he ended up not getting a whole lot better, and he looked at me and he was like, I am not going to go to Morocco. Now we are going to be at the bottom of Spain. Well, not the very bottom. I technically would be, but right next to Africa, which is a 40-minute boat ride, right? And I have wanted to go to Africa since I was a little kid, and I heard missionaries went to Africa. Like, it has been my heart for years. It's actually part of my profile on Real Life with Jenny that I wanted to go teach the crocodiles all about Jesus. Like, I have wanted to go to Africa since I was a little kid. And so I was not going to not go. Like, that was just not a possibility. I booked a tour because we looked at it and I looked at hotels and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go the safe route and we're going to book a tour. So I'm not like roaming around, not knowing what I'm doing. And because I tend to do that. And so I booked this tour. It was non-refundable. And so I spent a lot more money than I normally would to book this tour. I actually sold tea calendars so I could go on this tour. So this was and I used my own stuff to do this because it was just really important to me. So I wasn't going to miss it. So my husband, he decided to stay back, and we got his hotel so he could stay where we were currently. And the morning comes, and I remember the night before, I was like, okay, this is the first time in your life you have no one to take care of but yourself. You don't need to worry about anyone else's emotions. The only person you need to worry about is you. You don't need to worry about who's eating or who, when you're on trips, you're like, is this person eating? Is this I've been worrying about Kevin's back and making sure we've got food and all the luggage is moved and we're not forgetting things. All I have to do is take care of me. That's all I have for 48 hours. I can do this. This is going to be fun. And you know what? I'm not sure it was. Oh, I don't know. Yes, it was. No, I don't know. Well, we'll get there, right? So that morning comes and a bunch of buses come and someone's there in the little outfit that I knew I was supposed to be looking for because it was a huge tour company that we did this with. I did a ton of research and chose a bigger tour group that had a big amount of people that were working there. And so I felt very secure in what was happening. Buffoon, should not have, but so they make us they look at my thing and they're like, oh, okay, and they start making a bunch of phone calls, and all of a sudden a bus shows up and 30 of us get on the bus. And I'm like, okay, I actually took a video for my family and I was like, look at all the people that are on the bus with me. It'll be great. This tour is going to be so fun. Everyone spoke English. I haven't talked to people in a week now because everyone speaks Spanish and I don't speak enough and my words are not being used. I need to talk. So I'm on this bus and I leave my husband behind. I'm like, I can totally do this because look at this. It's an organized tour. It'll be great. And so they take roll call and they were like, where's Kevin? I'm like, yep, remember he's not coming. And they're like, oh, okay, no problem. And so about an hour and a half into the tour, I'm listening to a phenomenal mystery at this point in my earbuds. And I'm listening to this great mystery. And this guy comes back and he was like, Jennifer. And I'm like, yeah. He was like, so this tour is not going to Morocco. And I was like, what? He was like, you're actually the only one that is going to Morocco. And I was like, say that again? What do you mean? I'm like, what? He was like, and then he started talking really fast. And I did not understand what he was saying. All I heard was just you, Morocco. That's all that I really understood. The lady in front of me turned around and she's like, did you understand any of that? And I said, no, I did not. And she's like, me neither. I was eavesdropping to see if I could understand. And then he went to the front and I just started crying. Like, what is happening? I went from like this cozy little tour bus to you're all by yourself. And what does that mean? And he was like, I didn't really understand what he said. So they stopped somewhere to get like snacks and the restrooms and all those kind of things. And I got off and the lady that was sitting in front of me was like, I'm going to come with you so we can understand together. Like maybe if two of us are there, maybe the two of us can like piece together what he's saying. And so she comes with me and I'm like, can you explain to me what's going on? And he was like, you're the only one on your tour. We're going to have a taxi pick you up and take you to the port, and you're going to go to Morocco. What is happening? What? And so I call Kev, and I'm like, yeah, like this is what's happening. I'm crying. He kept saying, you need to smile. You're so pretty when you smile. You're so pretty when you smile. And I was like, I do not feel pretty right now. And I do not care if I'm pretty. I am terrified. It was scary enough to go on a tour by myself when I was not planning on it. I can do stuff by myself. I eat in restaurants all the time. I don't mind being by myself. I was not prepared to be by myself. And this lady was like, come sit with me. And she was like, let me buy you lunch. And I'm like, I cannot eat right now. Like thinking about putting food in my stomach. I do not understand. So she sat next to me when we got back on the bus and we just started talking about her life. And she was a single woman, but she's like, I would never be by myself. Like I'd never book a tour by myself. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't think I did. I would not be going if I thought I was by myself. And she was like, I'm so proud of you. You're going to just have such a great time. And I'm like, yeah, this is going to be great. Like, it's going to be fine. And so all of a sudden the bus stops, right? In the middle of Nowheresville. Like, there is nothing around. And the guy's like, Jennifer, it's time for you to get off the bus. And everybody starts chattering. Like, what is happening? Why are we kicking this lady off the bus? I'm like, I don't know. Why am I getting kicked off the bus? Anyway. So I get all my stuff. I just had a backpack. And I get off the bus. And he's like, I'm not going to let the bus leave until your taxi gets here. And I thought, well, that's nice of you, right? Like, that didn't feel like going above and beyond to me. But he was like, I'm going to go above and beyond, and we're not going to move anybody else until your taxi gets here. And so he shows me a picture of this guy and says, look for this guy when you get to Morocco. And I'm like, what? How am I getting to Morocco? Like, what? He's like, just get in the taxi and just trust the system. And I'm like, first of all, there is no system happening here. All of a sudden, I went from I'm in a tour group to Jenny is in a taxi by herself with someone that does not speak English. And I do not speak Spanish other than my 7th and 8th grade Spanish lessons. And that doesn't help me a whole lot other than hola and gracias. That's about all I got at this point because I am terrified. So I get in this taxi with a picture of somebody. I text Kevin the picture of this guy. This is the guy I'm meeting in Morocco. What does that mean to you? I don't know. So I take this taxi probably about an hour. I think I was in the taxi for about an hour. Um, you know what? It felt like 6 years. I have to be honest with you. I was like, I don't know who this guy is. I have no idea what's happening. It is me in a taxi. So I'm in this taxi and he drives up to this abandoned looking space. So it's where the port is, but all the restaurants are closed. There are no boats. There is one office open. It is not the name of my tour company, but he's like, this is where you go. And I was like, gracias. And he takes my backpack, he puts it on the ground, and he drives away. And I'm like, okay, this is great. So I go into this office. I am using air quotes with that because, yeah. And this guy's like, oh, hello. Hi, I am part of this tour. And he was like, oh, yeah, you're not, but you will be. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, okay, so the boat that you were supposed to take has been canceled. So you have 4 hours to walk around town and enjoy yourself. And I'm like, there's a town? Like, I'm looking around, there's nothing. It is me and this guy in a small plastic chair. And he was like, just leave your stuff with me and go enjoy yourself. And I'm like, where? Like, he points and I'm like, that's water. And he was like, well, just follow the road and you'll run into something. Well, to be fair, I did follow the road, and he's like, be back at a certain time. He gave me a specific time to be back, and then I will have everything ready for you. Because I don't think they remembered I was coming. Okay? Now that I've looked back at the whole process, I realized they had no idea I was coming. They'd completely forgot about my tour, and it was just Jenny. Jenny all alone in a strange area in Spain. It's actually the lowest, like the southernmost part of Europe. So that was pretty cool. I got to see the beach. I walked into this town. And just looked around. I saw the entire town. I walked up the hills. I walked down the hills. I went into every shop that was open, which was not a whole lot because I was there doing siesta. So there was not a lot open, but I did end up at a cafe. I ended up ordering a cup of tea and some churros. I petted a cat. I petted a dog. Like, sat there, listened to a book. Phenomenal book, luckily. Walked around town. Got back to the guy at the exact time, and he was like, thank you for coming, we're closed, but here's your packet, you're gonna get on a boat. And I'm like, what kind of boat? He was like, it's just a boat, just get on it and fill out this piece of paper. So he gave me this piece of paper that was in Arabic, in Spanish, and I think there was English, but it was so small that my eyes barely saw the words. All I could see was the Arabic on it because that was in big letters, and then teeny tiny little letters. I think there was English, but I can read enough Spanish to know like what words are, right? I can interpret things a little bit better with Spanish. So I'm trying to fill out, because he's like, the police will come find you and they will help you get into Morocco. And I'm like, why are the police finding me? And what is, like, that is unsettling, right? And that's all I had. He was like, here's your little, like, put this little sticker on and the tour company will find you. Just put the sticker on and people will find you. And I'm like, but where am I going? Like, what are you talking about? I don't see a boat. So this guy walks me over to like this huge building and said, go inside. Good luck. I think that's what he said. I think he laughed under his breath. Like, good luck, fool. I don't know why you're with this tour company. And to be honest, I'm not sure either. So I go into the building. I go through security. My passport's checked. They go through all my luggage. They put me in this place. And now I have no idea. There's a bunch of big boats, and I don't know which boats I'm supposed to get on. Other than when they opened the gates, everybody went towards one boat. So So did I. I just followed the crowd because no one else was going to the other boat. So I was like, well, I'm guessing I'll just go to this boat. I don't know where I'm going. I asked several people. None of them spoke enough English to be able to have a conversation and me be able to ask questions. I didn't know enough Spanish to be able to ask my questions. So I get on this boat. I have internet at this point because we bought Spanish internet to have with us. So I texted everybody, I'm on the boat. Everything's fine. Don't worry about me. Everything's going to be great. Little did I know that things would get a little wild from there, but I was on the boat. I had my little motion sickness patch on behind my ear so I wouldn't get motion sick. I had snacks. I had a little drink. Like I was ready to go. And I'm on this boat and the police never come find me. I thought that was really odd. I thought it was really odd that the police never came and found me. But okay, that's fine. I've got this little piece of paper and so the boat lands and I see Morocco for the first time. And I'm telling you, there is something that flipped inside of me that I went, this is incredible. Like, can you even believe you are standing here? And I had tears streaming down my face with joy for the first time that day. That I was like, can you even believe you've done this? I cannot believe you've done this. This is crazy. So I get in line to get out of the boat. And I don't know what's happening. I don't know why we're not getting off the boat, but there's this big line. And all of a sudden, I don't know if you've ever been to Spain, but they talk really loudly and really animated. They're super animated with their voices. And so there are these two guys that are having this conversation, one that's kind of in front of me and one that's behind me that I can't see. And the guy behind me is just kind of getting more and more and more loud. And the guy in front of me is saying a couple things, but not a lot. And all of a sudden, his fist comes flying right at me to get to the guy behind me because I did not understand they were actually arguing and fighting and like your mama kind of stuff. And luckily, someone pushed me out of the way and then started screaming at me in Spanish. And I had enough wherewithal to say, no hablo español, no hablo español. And she was like, oh, that's why you're such a moron in the middle of this fight. Like the rest of us backed up and you're still standing in the middle of these two guys that the cops had to come and break them up and put them in. One guy, I think, left in handcuffs. The other guy was moved up, it was crazy. And so I'm walking through this line after basically getting punched at. I did not get hit, so everything was fine. But you're kind of rattled. Like, you're on high alert. Okay, not only now are you in Morocco by yourself, without a tour, without anybody else on your tour, now people are throwing punches at you. And so I got off the boat, and this big guy with a machine gun and took my passport and said, no, back on the boat. And I'm like, what? And he was like, back on the boat. Took my little piece of paper, flipped it in my face, and told me to go back on the boat. So I go back on the boat. Now I'm in tears again because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Someone finds me, and I'm like, I showed them my little piece of paper, and he walks me over to this other guy, and he just rolls his eyes like, are you a moron? You were supposed to do this on the boat. And I'm like, I thought you were finding me. That's what they said. The police will find you. It's actually customs on the boat. And so I go through customs. He walks me out because I was crying so hysterically. He walks me out down the hallway and he was like, there, have a good day. So now the machine gun guy lets me through. I go through all of the security. I have my passport checked again, the whole thing. I find this random guy that I have a picture of, right? I find him. And he's like, Jennifer, nice to meet you. Come with me. And so all of a sudden now I'm with this guy. We're walking through the parking lot. He brings me to a huge tour bus. And I have to be honest with you, this is when my heart leapt a little. I was like, look at this. I am on a tour bus. It's not just going to be me. It was, guys. It was me, my tour guide, and a bus driver. That was it. It was just the three of us. And he's like, so this is what's going to happen. I am going to take you to your hotel. You are going to stay in your hotel, and I will pick you up in the morning. And I said, well, I'll probably go have dinner and, go do some shopping and look around or whatever since I've got free time tonight. He's like, no, You can't. You are a single woman and it is Ramadan. You are not allowed to leave your hotel room unescorted. And I was like, what? What? And he was like, you are not allowed to leave your hotel room unescorted. You can't go to the restaurant by yourself. You cannot leave the hotel. It is dangerous. You may come to my house if you want to have Ramadan with me. And I was like, no, I think I'm good. He was like, no, you should come to my house. I have a wife. It'll be fine. You can come have Ramadan at my house. And I'm like, I think my husband would kill me. I think he might figure out a way to get here and kill me if I go to your house by myself. Like, no, I'm good. I don't know who this guy is. I have a picture of him from a website. That's all I got. So he drops me off at my hotel. And the guy, I walk up and they didn't know I was coming, but they got me a hotel room. And my tour guide leaves with his big bus. And the poor guy walks me up to my hotel room carrying my backpack and pats me on the shoulder and says, you are welcome in the hotel as a single woman. You may go to the restaurant. Now, that is just the first part of my story. That's just day one. It gets weirder and wilder, but really the key is God was so faithful to watch over me. And I am in a country that is 99% Muslim. And I honestly did not know that. Maybe I should have, like the buffoon that I am, maybe I should have known more. But I didn't think about it. I was just kind of like, this is something I've always wanted to do. I'm just going to do this. And you know what was so interesting to me? God met me there. He was there with me. I have never had such a peaceful night of sleep. I felt so secure, and I called my sister and I cried. I called my husband and I cried. And then I pulled up my boots and I said, you know what? I'm going to enjoy this evening. And I really did. I had a lovely dinner, and it was just one of those all by yourself, you can't do anything, you're kind of trapped moments. And for me, those are like the worst. But God met me there in the midst of this really kind of scary, you're not allowed to leave because you're not safe on the streets, and, all this kind of stuff that he said to me. God was still there with me. And right now, with whatever you're walking through, God is there with you. It may not look like he's got things under control, but he does. And his peace can enter into your current circumstance. And he can be there right alongside of you in the midst of the chaos. And that's what he was for me. Well, that's all I have for you this week. You can find me at Real Life with Jenny on Instagram and Facebook. You can support this podcast by going to buymeacoffee.com/reallifewithjenny. But really, subscribe and like my channel. I'd really appreciate that if you'd go in, and subscribe to this wherever you listen and maybe make a comment. That would be phenomenal, because next week we're going to go on to the second day of this, and let me tell you, it didn't get a whole lot better. No, it was great. It really was, but was it? I don't know. So, but really, honestly, like the whole point of this is to kind of share my story, but also for you to know that God is with you even when it doesn't feel like it sometimes. Even when you look around and you're like, this is scary, God is still there with you, and he loves you and he has a plan. You all have a great week.